Yeah, right. Damn it. Now we're good. No, not yet. What's going on? Welcome to the Pamphlet on Kelly Digital. I am Nick Kelly. Adam, how you doing?
I'm good. Just living the life.
Living the life. That's good. That's good. Be sure to download the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify and all those places, and also hit up the website kellydigitalpodcast.com. It's a mouthful. Absolutely a mouthful. I would say find us on Facebook, but it would kind of be a waste of time. I mean, do find us on Facebook. We still want you to do that. But Facebook's really starting to irritate the shit out of me.
Oh, really? Why?
Well, especially when this was a thesis project, about a year ago. I would invest into the Facebook ads as to see, the growth and everything like that. But either way, I put real money in.
Putting them dollars up.
Not that much, maybe all in all through the year, maybe 100 just here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But, the numbers would grow and whatever, and you pay to grow your audience, which is fine. That makes sense. You pay to grow your audience. So I don't understand why when I post something, I'm only getting like 3 people viewed this post.
Yeah. You know why?
Well, I have no delusions of the fact, I have no delusions of the fact that, or thinking that we're big enough that they're censoring us, because that's not the case. It's just they want us to spend more money to actually reach the people that we've already spent to get to like the page. And it's bullshit.
That is bullshit.
The only way I could get people to actually see our post is if I share it on my personal page.
Really?
Yes.
That's not right. That seems wrong.
That's
maybe if we were a more liberal leaning podcast, you get a little bit more action.
So next week, the new name of the show will be Bernie Bros.
Bernie Bros. I like it.
Bernie Bros and the Soy Boy Hour.
Oh, yeah. I like it. That's good. I'm sure there probably already is a show called exactly that.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. All right, let's get into the wire. So what we got today?
So this week has been not the best for headlines for old Donald Trump. He had his former campaign manager. I think he was campaign manager for 3 months or something. Like, I didn't look up the times, but during the Mueller investigation, essentially they uncovered a lot of interesting stuff, or things that didn't look so good for a couple people within the campaign. And one was Manafort. And he was found guilty earlier this week. His case has been going on of 5 counts of tax fraud, 1 count of failure to file a report for a foreign bank or financial account, and 2 counts of bank fraud. Essentially, what he was doing, it looked like he was hiding money offshore and wasn't basically paying taxes on it. There were 18 charges. 8 of them he was found guilty on. 10 of them, it was like a hung jury. So I don't know. For these things, sounds like he can get some serious time. So I'm not sure they'll even do a retrial for those. And he also has another hearing, similar activity in another federal court. So he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's not going to be no slap on the wrist.
Nah, that's basically going to be a life sentence for him, given his age.
No, I know Trump has words got out that he's considering a pardon for the guy. I think that would be a bad idea. None of these charges are tied to Trump at all or the Trump campaign at all.
Yeah.
I think Trump should leave it alone. I never heard of Paul Manafort before he ran the Trump campaign. I'm not going to pretend I did, but people that have heard of him say that, they knew he was a bad guy even beforehand.
Yeah.
There was I remember when
he was like doing
board,
shady business stuff. So
yeah, I remember when he came on board, a lot of the response was, "What the hell is Trump doing? This guy's crooked as shit."
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, Trump that's what a lot of these people give Trump a lot of shit about some of the people that he, put into his campaign. You have guys, getting in trouble for stupid things, but he didn't have like a team of, every other political candidate for president has a team of people who have worked on presidential campaigns or other campaigns. That's pretty much what these people are doing for a career. And
right.
Trump's pulling people in who he thinks could help him, I don't know, organize his campaign effort or whatever. And he's probably not doing at the time, he probably wasn't doing his due diligence on making sure these people were squeaky clean.
Right.
But
I guess it was the RNC that actually recommended Paul Manafort.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't, I think at the time that probably wouldn't really surprise me. Because of the time, the RNC really didn't want Trump.
Yeah.
To be the guy.
That could be, but I tell you what, his campaign turned around after Manafort came on board. So say what you will about the guy, but he righted that ship.
Yeah. Something worked. But the thing about this, it looks bad for Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
And the problem with this is, in my eyes, Trump is not going to. They've said impeach about 10,000 times this week on the news, but essentially none of these counts have anything at all to do with Trump. It's just this guy doing shady stuff in other businesses. You know what I mean? So,
but I think the impeachment talk is more circling around Trump's other cohort that also got convicted.
Yeah. So basically, Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen, you remember maybe a month or two ago, they basically raided his office. He has an attorney's office, and it was like a lot of people were upset that they were doing that.
Yeah,
obviously with this Mueller investigation, they're uncovering things about him too. So he pled guilty early in the week. He's not even going to trial. He's just got to plead guilty to similar violations, essentially bank fraud, tax fraud, and the most important one is campaign finance law violations. Now, he pled guilty to everything. He's going to get 3 to 5 years. So he's basically done. He doesn't have to worry about that case coming back. He's took his sentence. Like Manafort fought it, and he's going to get essentially life.
Right.
So they go to Cohen. This is my theory. They go to Cohen, and they say, "Look, you're in violation with this bank fraud. You're in violation with this tax fraud. Basically, he didn't disclose that he had $4.1 million in reported income. Hey, we're Americans. We got to pay taxes.
Yeah.
And I guess by doing that, showing that he made less than he actually did, he got loans at maybe a better rate from a bank. So there's your bank fraud that he normally wouldn't get because he would have been making more. So anyways, my theory on it is they have him on the bank fraud, tax fraud. You look at what's going to happen to Manafort. He's done. He's going to be in jail forever. unless Trump would pardon him. But basically they said, well, you also have these, what we really want is campaign violations. So they go to him and they say, we'll give you a deal, 3 to 5 years, but you have to plead guilty. I don't think they could prove that in court, the campaign violations.
Well, I don't think this was a plea deal, though, was it? I mean, was there? I didn't hear of any kind of deal in place.
Well, I'm sure there was a deal that if someone comes to you and they say, look, we don't want to go to court, the prosecutor is going to try to get everyone to plead guilty out of court and save them the effort. So in this case, they went to him and said, this is what you're going to get. This is the sentencing guidelines that you're going to be under, if you plead guilty. So, yeah, it's not a deal, but it's also him admitting guilt to those campaign finance violations. So basically with those, okay, so what it was one count of making excessive campaign contributions. Cohen's lawyer, his current lawyer, said that Cohen was directed by the president to commit a crime by making payments to 2 women for the principal purpose of influencing an election. So those are, he's saying that for his client. That's not in court. He's saying that to the press. So he basically, Trump wanted to get a non-disclosure. He was working with his attorney on this, Michael Cohen at the time, with these 2 women who could have had dirt on him or something, basically regarding an affair. Yeah. And essentially they paid them off for a non-disclosure. And what they're saying is he's admitting his guilt, and he's admitting that it was a crime to make this payment because it's influencing an election. Now, I don't really think that's influencing election. I think that is, I don't know. It just, to me, it doesn't seem like influencing election. If it were the opposite, where someone was paying someone for information, that seems more like influencing an election. But
well, that's a case where you could argue. You could argue anything you do is to influence an election. You get a haircut and a nice suit, you're doing it to look more appealing on the campaign trail.
Exactly.
I think Trump. I think Trump will be able to prove that he has a record of paying off broads that he slept with. I don't think that's an issue, because I bet there's a long trail of that. And the only thing that he really needs to do is, probably shut his mouth. Everything he says makes him look worse. Like today, he goes on Twitter. That. Yeah,
Twitter. There you go.
Today he goes on Twitter and he's like, "Oh, for 30 years I talked about people that flip. Flipping should be illegal, dude."
Yeah, that's
just like no. Flipping should not be illegal. It's biting me in the ass right now, but
yeah, you shouldn't say that. That's stupid.
That's dumb.
That's real dumb. Now, if you're a celebrity, look, there's a lot of celebrities, I'm sure, that have girls sign non-disclosure.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, if they have money, they're gonna do it, and they do it for free. They just do it. If they want to be involved, hanging out with these dudes, they're gonna sign non-disclosure. That's just the way things work. People don't want you going out there and airing their dirty laundry when they're public figures.
Right.
So, if you want to have what's funny is all these, actually the other woman, I don't know, what was she, like a Playboy Playmate or something?
Yes.
Has she really said much? She hasn't really said much, has she?
No, I don't know. She didn't.
So really the only one that's saying anything about that is, what's her face? The porn star.
Yeah, the hero of the left, Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels, yeah. I can't believe I forgot her name. But, she's doing it for obvious reasons, in my opinion. She's not doing it because I don't even know why she would think, what her justification is other than publicity in bettering her career.
Yeah, she's got a career to maintain. She's looking at Dancing with the Stars as like a possibility.
Yeah, like that. Wow. And I mean, she's going around titty bars right now. You know, stripping. You know, that's her career. So she's doing anything to get ahead.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, was Trump
She's
an
even
idiot?
given head to give ahead, or given head to get ahead.
Probably. Yeah, guaranteed. Yeah. So I mean, you know, you're basically doing, and it is what it is. I mean, if someone that's what someone does for their career. That's what someone does for their career. But she's obviously trying. Like she even said, "I'm making more money now than basically she ever did."
Oh yeah.
So she's a hot thing right now.
Banged the dude that is the most hated president by half the country ever. So yeah, she's like, you know, actively trying to take him down, which makes her even more of a hero.
But it keeps her in the news, and the news is all about having anything negative about him in the news. So she's just, it's perfect for her.
That's another thing I noticed today was I was just driving and I got a news alert on my phone. I look at it and it's like, of course, another negative story about Trump. Like anytime my phone pings with a news story, it's always something negative. No matter what he does, it never has even the slightest positive spin on the story.
Never.
Not even close. It's so aggravating. It's so aggravating.
I'll tell you what. You can keep going.
Yeah, you know more. You know as well as anybody. Like I wasn't a Trump guy.
Oh yeah, I know.
Election at all. I did not like him.
You didn't vote for him.
No, I voted for the Constitution Party guy. I don't even remember his name.
No one does.
Yeah, I don't even think he does. But the simple fact is, like, yeah, they are pushing me into his corner so hard. It's not even funny. Like it's so aggravating. It is so aggravating.
A lot of people are like you, Nick.
I know.
A lot of people who weren't Trump people before the election feel like they've been pushed to be Trump people because the other side has gotten so kooky.
Yeah.
I mean, like people are sick and tired. Oh, people are sick and tired of like listening to the news, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
Like bashing the country. And I'm not just saying Trump's the country, but they bash the country every bit of the way.
Yeah. A good example is the Molly Tibbetts case.
Oh, it's a great example. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, we can get into that. But one other point before we move off of this whole investigation, before we move to that, this is what gets me about this Mueller investigation. So it started out, it was a Russia collusion investigation.
Right.
Okay, then they didn't have anything. So then it was obstruction of justice investigation. You know, Trump's firing Comey. He's obstructing justice. Right. Now, basically what that investigation has come down to is like non-disclosures for porn stars who had affairs with the president years ago. I mean, that's literally what that investigation has come down to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think his full report's going to drop in October. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, right before election? Holy shit.
Yeah, who would have thought that would happen?
I wouldn't think they would do that.
So, yeah, should be interesting. I tell you what, and I'm calling it right now. If no matter what happens with all this Cohen shit, if the Democrats win back the House, they're not going to win back the Senate, and they're not going to win a supermajority in the Senate, obviously.
Yeah.
But if they win back the House, I guarantee Trump will be impeached in the House.
Yeah, probably.
Because I think even without any kind of evidence, all the Democrats would vote for it now anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no. See, that's one thing I have a problem with the Democratic Party. They would vote for impeachment with no proof of impeachment or of a crime or any reason. They would just vote for it. If it were the other way around, there are guys on the Republican side, like Trey Gowdy. He's not going to vote for impeachment of someone who hasn't committed any crime to be impeached. Like a guy like that is a stand-up guy. He's not going to do that. They don't have a stand-up person on their whole entire side that would say. The only people who would do anything for the betterment of this country, like I've said this before, like even tax cuts. You have people getting tax cuts to the lower and middle class. How is that bad? And then they won't have a single person vote for it unless they are in an election in a red state and they're a Democrat. That's the only way that they will do it. So it's a joke, really, the way they act. I mean, I've said this before. Republicans are the same way. It's like, well, who are you working for? You're working for what, your party? Or are you working for the people who got you elected? That's what I have a problem with when it comes to, the way things work. And I know that, if everything just got approved and everybody, there would be a way more spending and waste than we already have, but there's tons of it already. And I mean, I don't know. But on to our next subject. You brought up earlier, Molly Tibbetts. Essentially, she was, I've been kind of following this story just because I read the news, and I don't know. She's a University of Iowa student. She went for a jog and went missing on July 18th. And they've had a search going on in Iowa for like almost 6 weeks now. Well, on Tuesday, a body was found. They basically did an autopsy. They were able to identify the body as her body. The cause of death they determined from the autopsy was sharp force injuries, which essentially is basically she was stabbed and hacked at with a sharp object. The wounds consisted with stabbing and chopping. So I'm not really sure what the murder weapon was, but a 24-year-old Mexican who came to this country illegally has been charged with her murder after confessing. And basically his confession was he followed her when she went on her run, like he was following her.
Yeah.
And something happened and he got real mad at her. And then he doesn't remember what happened. Then when he came to, she's laying there like bleeding, and he like picked her up, threw her in his trunk, and then drove her to a field, covered up with corn stalks, and left her. So it's a disgusting story, which obviously because an illegal immigrant is involved, or illegal alien, whatever you want to call them, it's a political football this week. So
yep. And
I think it's sickening for both sides, but at the same time, some of the shit. I mean, Elizabeth Warren was on, I think CNN, and I just don't know how you could go in this direction from the question they asked her, but I think you have the audio of that.
Yeah, it's right here.
So sorry for the family here, and I know this is hard, not only for the family, but for the people in her community, the people throughout Iowa. But one of the things we have to remember is we need an immigration system that is effective, that focuses on where real problems are.
That didn't even have the full clip. But yeah, she goes on to say we need to not be separating.
Yeah, they cut that one down.
Yeah, we need to not be separating mamas from their babies. Yeah. But guess what? That mother of, Molly's mother is not going to see her baby.
No.
Ever again on this earth.
Well,
so there's a separation for you but we shouldn't focus on that. We need to focus on real problems.
Yeah, like basically the full clip is the guy asked, okay, so there was this murder that happened. An illegal alien committed the murder in Iowa. And it's been in national news for a good, like, last 3 weeks at least, this story about this girl missing. So it's been a national news story. So he basically said, what do you have to say about what happened in Iowa with the girl who was killed by an illegal alien? And she said, oh, I'm sorry for her family. Then she immediately went into, but we really need to go down to the border and see the problems and blah, blah, blah. And you heard part of it there. But that's basically what she's saying. She totally changed the subject.
Yeah, she turned it to a story where
Trump's bad.
Like, yeah, don't pay attention to this story here with the dead girl. We're going to talk about child separation because that makes their side look bad.
Mm-hmm.
And another big immigration story that happened this week that everybody was up in arms about on Twitter was the illegal immigrant that was driving his pregnant wife to the hospital to have a baby. He was pulled out of his car and arrested.
Yeah, Trump did it, didn't he? Didn't he pull him out?
No, ICE did it. You know, the SS, the modern SS.
Yeah.
Yeah, so ICE did this, abolish ICE, hashtag, whatever. Turns out they did this because Mexico requested that ICE do this. And they requested that he did it because he is a convicted murderer.
Yeah, on the run.
And the pregnant wife was heading into the hospital for a scheduled C-section. It's not like she was in labor. Not that that was mentioned anyway. So, like, oh my gosh, she had to drive herself to the hospital. Well, she can. They didn't start the whole process yet.
Yeah, her water didn't break.
Yeah, because it was going to be a C-section.
Yeah, but that story came out and they jumped all over that before they knew about the murder charge this guy was wanted for in Mexico. So, I mean, I think it's like egg on the face of the media, but at the same time, it's not because it just disappeared.
Yeah, there's never egg on the media's face. There's never egg on liberal face at all, because if a story looks bad for them, it just disappears. It goes away. You never hear from it again. We're not going to applaud ICE for catching this murderer that was loose in the country. We're not going to say anything about that. We're just going to continue the abolish ICE thing. Or the fact that ICE, another immigration story. They dragged that 95-year-old Nazi out of his house, something that Obama couldn't get done.
Yeah.
Trump and ICE got that shit done and got that Nazi the hell out of here.
Yeah, so anyone who doesn't know that story, there was a World War II Nazi, I think he was like a guard at one of the, camps, where they kept the Jewish people or whoever they wanted to get rid of.
Yeah.
Living in this country for all these years and finally got his ass out.
Yep.
He's old as shit, dude. They took him out like a cot. He had his hat on. Did you see it?
Yeah, the real little fedora looking hat.
Yeah, they're like smashing on his head, making sure he doesn't lose his fedora. Yeah, I mean, that is surprising. It's hard to believe there's still Nazi prison guards still around, but it's
shit, man.
Crazy that they're in the United States. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane to think that like they're still alive and like there's still that connection to actual concentration camps in this country. And that, granted, there's still some like concentration camp survivors out there too.
Yeah.
Not many anymore, but they're still out there.
But some of them were children, for you to be a guard, you're a little older. But even the people who were in concentration camps that are still alive, I mean, even if they were kids, they're still very, very old.
Yeah.
World War II generation, that like that guy's in his 90s, you're around 90 if you were involved in World War II.
Right.
Or more. I mean, if you were really young, you're probably around 90. Well, you ever see the Family Guy episode where like the pedophile next door, like he was a World War II guy apparently, and then there was a guy who looks like remarkably like him. There's like a puppet maker in town, and he actually used to be like SS, like German secret police. Basically, he was a Nazi, and then they have this old man fight. It just that's what it reminded me of, because that's like the age they are, like decrepit.
That is. They should have kicked him a couple times on the way back, on the way out.
Yeah. Well, maybe they did. I doubt it. You'd probably kill the guy, but wonder what will happen. So he's going to go back to Germany.
Yep.
And what will they do with him? Just let him be free because he's another one of them, or what?
They'll get into town. They'll be like, "Thank you for your service, sir."
Yeah. Well, that is a hard thing, for them. You're in a war that was not viewed historically as a good war or a good, but you were doing it. You were acting. You're a soldier for your country. So it's like, how do you treat those people? You know what I mean? In our country, what I mean, back in the day, they'd probably hang them. I don't know. Now
Right.
it's like we're a little bit more politically correct, but what would they do in that country?
I think like the common German soldier gets the pass. When you
Okay.
get up into the ranks of like concentration camp guard and SS and
Because
inner
you're,
circle, then you're like, all right, you're an evil fuck. You're
yeah.
going down.
There were a
You
lot
aren't
of
just
them, though.
yeah, oh yeah,
I mean, there were tons
absolutely.
of guys involved when they're prison camps. I mean, they
Yeah.
had a whole industry basically, looking after these people, getting them from one place to another, burning them up, doing whatever it is that they were doing to these people. So there were a lot of people who,
Yeah.
bad people.
And speaking of concentration camps, another story that kind of broke this week that isn't getting any play. China currently has about 1 million Muslims in concentration camps right now.
Yeah, I saw that. You could probably tell me a little bit more about it because I just saw like the headline of it, but that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean,
And they're
you got to
putting them
think.
into schools that were like, I think it was like basically they're putting them in schools to like domesticate them. I don't know how other to say it. Basically, it's like wild creatures you have to domesticate, like turn them into farm animals.
Look
Yeah.
at that. We got ourselves a Muslim.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you know anything else about that, or is that just kind of
Uh,
about your extent to it?
yeah, I mean, it's about my extent. Just the numbers, the fact that, well, they're not a big fan of basic. The communist regime is an atheist regime. So they're cracking down on Christianity. They have been for a while. The Muslim thing really has kind of been swept under the rug till about this week. But yeah, I mean, they're being rounded up and forced into camps. I don't know. I thought as a world we said never again.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
apparently it's okay in North Korea and in China.
Well, apparently it's okay in this country too, and I'll tell you why. I'm not sure if you follow this guy, and I don't, but I just happened to see it. Isaiah Crowell, did you see what he posted on Instagram?
No.
Okay. So basically, he posted a picture of him, like his team picture, sitting there. He plays in the NFL. I think he still plays for the Cleveland Browns, if I'm not mistaken. And next to him, like he goes on a rant basically about the NFL and the protests. And his picture sitting there, and then right next to it in the picture, like in another picture side by side, is like basically it looks like an ISIS guy cutting a guy's throat, but the ISIS guy has on like American flag suspenders.
Oh, there's the twist.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, working in the NFL is basically like a concentration camp, I guess. Slavery.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was able to get a professional artist to do that, obviously, right?
Well, it was like he took his own picture, and then there's like apps where you can put another picture beside it. I'm not sure where he got this other picture. It was just of a hooded guy looking like ISIS, but with red, white, and blue. It wasn't a painting; it was actual picture somewhere.
So he's obviously in jail being beat right now because of that, right?
No,
or is he?
He's free. He's probably playing on Thursday. I don't know. He's probably playing today. He's probably at his game.
Well, I guess, but they're taking everything away from him, like all his money and stuff now.
No. I don't think so. No, he's still a millionaire.
And he got that million by inheritance?
No. He actually got it based off of his skills and talents and hard work in this country.
And where though?
In the United States.
Well, I mean, like what company? Because
for the NFL, I suppose they all work or he works for the Cleveland Browns. I don't know.
Oh, so wait, the company that's enslaving him?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Well, yeah. Yeah, I see where you're going.
I guess that's not really slavery, is it?
Yeah, but you know what, Nick, it is.
Is it?
is because you can't make millions of dollars and then tell guys how to behave whenever they're putting on their show. You know, if I had a Broadway act and we had a play all scripted out and everyone had their cues and their marks that they had to hit, you know, I can't tell a guy if he wants to just protest right in the middle of it that one of the actors, that he can't protest. That's wrong, Nick.
Yeah, maybe he didn't like your lines and just swapped them out for his lines.
Yeah, he came out in like a Ku Klux Klan outfit because he's a neo-Nazi or something. Yeah. You know, I can't stop him. You know what I mean? You know, yeah, maybe he'll ruin the play that night, but maybe I'll learn.
Yeah, maybe you'll lose like 20 to 40% of your audience because of it.
Maybe, but you know what? I'll respect him, and then I'll change the rules and allow him to do it.
There you go.
And then our play won't be a play anymore. It'll just be a protest. Yeah. How about we do that?
I like it.
I like it too.
And you could get some male cheerleaders to cheer him on.
There's some real cute ones too.
Yeah.
Those drunk.
Hey boy, look mighty cute in them jeans.
Those drunk and like 50-year-old NFL guys who like the fans in the crowd love that. Screaming out, get them tits out, get them balls out.
Let me see your junk.
Yeah. Well, so I guess my point is the NFL takes away your freedoms, and that's wrong.
Yeah, I'm against that.
I'm against that. You know what else is? But I'm okay with this one. Amazon is going to take away your right or your ability to buy books. Basically, on their website, any books that are involved with guns.
Well, what they did.
Is that not it? I don't know.
That's a little inaccurate.
Okay, because I just go off what you tell me, Nick.
Right.
I'm like a puppet out here. I haven't decided to like break away yet.
No, what it is somebody. I guess you could do like a publishing through Amazon.
Oh, okay.
I guess if they own the publishing rights, that's okay. But they deemed this book to be too offensive for their store. And mainly the thing is in the book, and the book was titled "A Test of Free Speech," which is funny. But in the book, it actually has the full-on text of the HTML code for Cody Wilson's 3D printed single-shot gun.
Okay.
And so they pulled that down. Now you're thinking, okay, they don't want to send that out there. But you could go to Amazon right now and buy the Anarchist Cookbook. No problem.
Yeah, okay. See, I think this is one story that I didn't really look at much. I just kind of look at the title.
Yeah.
So I was under the impression it was a little different than that, or a lot different.
But I mean, that's not the only thing that was in the book. There was like some other shit in the book too.
Yeah.
But I think that was the main red flag of like why they pulled it down. But again, Anarchist Cookbook will teach you how to make bombs, how to poison people, how to set traps.
I mean, I think if you're gonna pick and choose, then you got to get rid of that one. There's a lot of books that probably tell you a lot of things that that would be illegal for you to do.
Right, but you know, it is your right to publish these illegal things on how to do them. So, but that's why the guy titled the book "A Test on Free Speech."
I got you.
Go ahead and test the boundaries there.
I'm glad you knew more about this because I would be publishing fake news if it were up to me. I would just say they were getting rid of all gun books because I've actually bought in the past gun-related books. Whenever you shoot, if you're shooting long-range rifle or anything, there is books that are specifically geared towards loading your ammunition.
Yeah.
So, and they're produced by like Winchester or Remington or Hornady or some bullet manufacturer or gun manufacturer, and they're making you pay for the information to make that gun shoot the way it's supposed to, essentially, so you don't like blow your gun up or you just shoot terrible. So that's kind of what I was thinking, or any gun-related book. That's what I thought that was. So I was a little bit more against it. But, I mean, 3D printed guns, for me, it's stupid. Like, okay, you can't. I mean, unless they're just printing parts to the gun. Like I'm saying, if they're printing out, because what is the material that they're printing?
Well, they've actually done it through one machine where you could do it out of metal, where
Okay,
like
so,
it fabricates the parts.
okay, that sounds like that would be extraordinarily expensive.
Exactly. It is, and everybody has the right to buy to go out and buy a
gun.
Not a gun, but like a gun, a gunsmith equipment.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ridiculously expensive, but you have the right to go out, buy gunsmith equipment, and make your own gun. You do have that right.
Yeah, I mean there are obviously shooting sports, hunting, whatever. People. The gun industry is a big industry as far as selling things like that. There are gunsmiths. There's actually a gunsmith school. I mean that you could go to. Yeah. So I mean, I'm seeing your point there. I guess what I always thought of when they do this, because they always show a plastic gun.
Yeah, which is bullshit, because plastic gun won't work.
No, it would if you put a bullet into a plastic gun and then had a hammer that would hit the primer and set the ammunition off, it would blow the plastic gun to pieces, because it's an explosion inside of a hardened steel, normally chamber, and it contains the bullet. And the bullet goes out in the barrel instead of blowing whatever it's in up. So right. I mean, I always look at these plastic guns, like whenever they have them on the news, like 3D printed gun, plastic gun, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's the most absurd thing I've ever seen. Like, you can't do that. I don't care what you're trying. It would literally blow up. And
no, there's a way, like calling it 3D printing. What the Cody Wilson dude is pushing, or what his thing was. Calling it 3D printing is actually kind of wrong. It basically kind of cuts the part out.
Like, okay, so they're talking about a CNC machine.
Like, basically, that you put the specs in, or you could load it up like a printer. You could run the blueprint in, and it'll go ahead and
see, to me, in my opinion, that is already going on, and that shouldn't be illegal. Because you're talking about machine shops are doing that. It's not a guy they put a plate of steel down and they start cutting things out. They do it for all your parts, for all your, whatever it is. Right. Like, you go to your appliances, see all the little metal things that are in there. Those are all CNC machine parts. And some guy isn't hammering them out and trimming them out with like a torch. That's a very finite machine that is cutting those parts out perfectly every time. And that's what it sounds like when you explain it, because I'm too lazy to read stories, because I just see the plastic gun. I'm like, I'm not reading this because it's so stupid. Like,
yeah. And I tell you what, even if you could make a gun, not a plastic gun, but a gun that was undetectable by metal detectors,
that'd be a problem.
Again, it's your right to have that gun. So, I mean... And furthermore, it's your First Amendment right to publish the material on how to make that gun if you choose to do that. I mean, as long as it's your design, you're not stealing someone's copyright.
Yeah.
So that's a 2 Amendment issue there.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where I can see where there's an argument because one side has like trumped up the impact of this, where this is, I mean, in my opinion, CNC machine parts, and you're comparing that to 3D printing, it's not really the case. 3D printing is like you put something in a program, and there's nothing there, and it makes something.
Right.
It pours out plastic or whatever it is and makes something. This is, you're taking either, because I've seen these before. There's CNC machines for gun barrel stuff. They do some of the finite engraving on them. They'll do fluting of the barrel, and just things that if you're doing it by hand, it would be a lot of work. It would just take a lot more time. A machine is expensive, but it does it quicker. So if you're making guns or parts for guns, if you're a custom gun maker, which there are people who make guns for people that are custom guns, there's still serial numbers on the barrels and the actions, so you can trace, where they came from or who has them. But at the same time, It's not like people are just printing these guns out of thin air. Like,
Right.
oh shit, I'm on my computer and I'm just like, you know what? I want a new gun today because I'm gonna do something. And it just like I hit my printer and it pops out. This is like that's like saying Remington or Winchester shouldn't be, a huge gun manufacturers shouldn't be allowed to use machines to make guns.
Right.
That's basically what it is. So I'm glad you informed me on that story because, quite frankly, I was thinking, man, Amazon, that's a lot of books. That's what they started with, was books. And if they're going to start going through their books and like weeding out like things like that, it could get pretty dicey. The way, YouTube has gotten rid of some of their conservative or libertarian like people that are on their platform. Now you got Amazon starting to take, I'm sure they do take some of their products off, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you don't want. That's not a road you want to go down.
No, I think that would be dangerous. Well, I mean, speaking of Silicon Valley, one thing they have an abundance of is shit in their streets, and this would be San Francisco area. And I mean, you sent me this earlier, but I did see a news story about it. And yeah, apparently San Francisco has a real problem with fecal matter in the streets. A lot of homeless people there, a lot of needles and poop, essentially.
You know what, though? You say a lot of shit in the streets. I say job creation.
You know what? I think you're right.
If you're going to be a pooper scooper in San Francisco, you could get paid up to, with including benefits, $184,000.
Whoa.
And
that's like in a lifetime, right?
No, that's like
per year.
That's like in a year. That's a government funded job. So, citizens of San Francisco, congratulations. You are paying a pooper scooper, just one pooper scooper, and there's multiple.
Yeah, I think
there's a whole pooper scooper patrol. Yeah. You're paying each one $184,000 a year.
Well, I saw the mayor on a newscast. He was interviewed, and I mean, I guess he's one of the guys who came up with the solution, or at least he approved it because he's paying for it. But basically, they have to like steam all these sidewalks off their shit. Literally,
right?
Like, I mean, they had like these extremely nice buildings, like were business fronts. This is San Francisco. It's a nice. I mean, it's a nice place.
It's a beautiful city.
And they're like literally just steaming the sidewalks off because, like, first off, not only is it disgusting, it's gross that there's human shit on the sidewalk, but it's also like a health issue. I mean, maybe, they could come up with some other plan. Maybe they could just make it legal and have like the plague break out.
Yeah, that, I'm not against that entirely.
Given the state, is that what you're trying to tell me?
Exactly. Like, seriously, they couldn't just cut $100,000 off that. You couldn't find people for $84,000 a year to clean the shit off the sidewalk.
Oh man,
like $184,000. When I worked on a fucking drilling rig, my life was literally in danger. I could say I was within a foot from guaranteed death 3 times that I could remember. And that's not exaggeration, not bullshitting. If I would have been 1 foot this way, I would have died. Like, that happened about 3 times.
Yeah, but Nick,
and I didn't make nowhere near that.
Yeah, but you didn't have to clean up shit.
No, I had to basically crawl in it. Like,
you know who else should make $184,000? The cashiers at Tim Hortons. Whenever those women are flinging shit at them.
Yeah, that's a prime example. Yeah, they don't even get the hazmat suits. They just got like some.
God, I hope they wear gloves when they're making those donuts.
Yeah, they just got some house mom that's on her midday jog and needs to drop a dish, just chucking turds at them like they're freaking monkeys.
Well, instead of, and I know they have to keep the streets clean, but instead of keeping the streets clean by proactively helping the homeless there or doing something about the problem, All they're doing is saying, "Yeah, go ahead, shit in the streets. We're gonna clean it up.
We're gonna pick it up." And the dude in the Bentley is gonna do it.
This rich dude right here, he's about to clean up your shit. You're right.
Dude, seriously, could you think if you're a fucking lawyer and you're like, dude, this is so fucking stressful, and you're seeing this dude over here is getting paid $184,000, you have to think, you know what? I could pop in some headphones, put on a hazmat suit, and I could do that. I could do that for 184 grand. I could still live a pretty good life.
Well, it's like the cost of living in San Francisco is really high. I mean,
high.
I mean, it's not that high, but there has to be. I don't think Western Pennsylvania shit cleaner is gonna get anywhere near that. So I guess if you're going to the majors, you want to go to the big leagues,
yeah,
shit cleaner, you go there. You go to San Francisco.
There's opportunities, aplenty there.
Yeah, there's gold in them there hills. It's like a modern day gold rush. That's right.
It's the new 49ers. So what day does your cleaning lady get there to your house?
To my house? I don't have one.
Oh, well, San Francisco also allocated
paper linen
San Francisco also allocated $12 million of their budget to a cleaning service to go to the homeless encampments.
Why wouldn't they do something about the homeless people?
They got him a housekeeper.
They don't have a fucking house. Dude, why?
First you get the housekeeper, then you get the house.
Yeah. For a state that is so broke, I mean, California, I know San Francisco, there was a lot of money there with basically the tech boom that has gone on there.
Right.
And they charge a ton for taxes. But I mean, there has to be a way. That's what your job is. If you're on city council or you're the mayor, your job is to try to figure out what to do with people who are homeless. That has to be one of your big top priorities. And it's not sending a housekeeper to their tent to fucking clean up.
Tidy up for them.
Yeah.
Here's one thing you could do is tell people they're not allowed to fucking pop tents up in your city. And they're not allowed to shit on the streets. And then what's going to happen is the crowd's going to disperse. They'll spread out. They'll, make their way to Miami.
Yeah, that's what you're worried about. There's a lot of homeless down there too, right?
There's enough.
Yeah. It's hard to believe they can survive the summers down there.
Yeah,
winters are nice though.
Yeah, the winters aren't.
I would be like a migratory bird if I was homeless.
Yeah, really. What's holding you in one place?
Yeah, like I would in October I'd start walking. And I'd start walking south. And I would get to Florida. It'd be nice. And then whenever it's about March, I'd start walking back.
Right.
And then by the time I get back here, it's nice here too. I mean, it's humid as shit, but
you'd be very well in shape.
I would be like Forrest Gump.
That homeless dude's ripped.
Yeah, look at the quads on that dude.
He must be out.
Look at the ass on that.
Yeah, I tell you what, he smells like shit, but man, that's a nice turd cutter he got there. You can see it live on the San Francisco streets.
Yeah, see it actually using it for that purpose.
Right.
I always hated that word, turd cutter.
It just takes the complete appeal out of every ass that it's referred to.
Oh, so bad. I heard that one time. I don't know, some creep I probably worked with back in college. Yeah, back in our college days. I was an old dude. I was like, oh God, that was disgusting. I turned my nose up at him like I was better than him. Oh, well, I mean, it's nice to own things and you got to pay taxes. Nice to do things. Got to take care of your poor people. Got to clean up after them. Got to, do the whole housekeeping thing, I guess. But,
actually, I would like to reiterate that too. To all these people that say, oh, well, you got to pay taxes if you're going to be in a civilized society because that's just the cost of living and, blah, blah, blah. Just remember, you're paying for a homeless person's housemaid and to
Yeah.
pick up their shit off the sidewalk. That's exactly, and your tax dollars will not even cover it. Actually, your entire neighborhood, their tax dollars probably won't cover it either.
Well, I mean, we get on this road every time we talk about government spending, but any time that the government has its hands in running things, they waste all your money. And you know what? People in this country should take some ownership of their money.
Absolutely.
Because it's their money going to the government in taxes. It's not just the government's money. It's your money. And if this country would actually, people, you know what? They get their checks and they try to block it out of their mind. Oh my God, look how much money I just got taken out of my check for taxes. Right. What they should do is they should start demanding their congressmen and their senators actually write bills to cut spending, because that's our biggest problem in this country. We have a bloated government. We spend too much. And even local governments, we're spending $190,000 a year for a guy to go around and clean up shit. And he's just one of the guys on the crew. There's a whole crew of them. Yeah. And hey, that's San Francisco. They can do whatever they want. But that, to me, I mean, there are better ways to spend money. I mean, you have homeless people there. If you really want to spend money and you really want to help the situation, help the people. I'm all about helping people who are in need. But if you're just going to let them do the exact same shit they've always been doing, shitting on the streets, and you're just going to clean it up, that's a waste of money.
Oh, yeah.
So, but you could be like South Africa. And if you have money and you have, you know, big farms or property, well, the government's going to come in, take that property off of you and give it away.
This is a crazy story. And that's really only happening to the white folk down there.
Yeah, it doesn't happen to the white people.
Because it's payback. And some would say it's justifiable payback. You know, there's a history, some would say. But you know, that was a long time ago, and that was the thing that made Nelson Mandela such a worldwide great figure, is the fact that so much injustice was done to him and to his people. And when he got out of prison, his first words were, you know, reconciliation. Let's fix this. Well, reconciliation is over.
Yeah, and they're going the other way now.
Yeah, they're like, all right, white man, give me your phone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I believe this isn't just like, you know, a group of people going in and taking someone's property. This is the government is doing it too. I mean, the government is basically saying, yeah, we're going to take your property.
Well, it's
a business. It's their business too. The one I was looking at was like a farm. So it was a working farm where they were making money, and it probably had employees and everything like that. You know, like if someone owned it, an individual owned it, and it was a white guy. So they're going to take that off him and redistribute the wealth.
And that's the thing. They the South African Constitution guarantees you the right to housing. Is one of the things they guarantee a right to. Mm. This is why you can't guarantee rights to two things. You know, you have the right to free speech. The government can't stop you from speaking. You can't say you have a right to housing, because then the government has to find a way to give you housing. And the only way to do that is to take other people's land. So
it's the same with a right to a service. If you have healthcare, if you have in your constitution it says you have a right to a service, let's say healthcare, then you could go into a doctor's office. You could say, you have to give me my service. I don't have to pay you. It's my right for you to serve me. Right. So that guy is your slave, essentially. That's basically what it would evolve to. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically what will happen, you know, if you guarantee, you know, if you want to make healthcare a right, then basically every doctor, nurse has to become a government employee, because that's the only way they could guarantee you the service without you stealing the service. So, I mean, it's a nationalizing something. Once you do that, nobody's going to want to be doctors and nurses, because they're not going to get paid enough money to do so. Yeah. But that's getting off the subject. As far as like South Africa goes, it's also written in their constitution that if if the government, they do have the right to come and force a sale, an eminent domain situation. They have that right in the Constitution, but they have to give you fair market value for it. The story coming out is that they're not giving market value. They're giving like 10% value, and they're actually pushing for an amendment where they could just come and seize the land and not give any compensation at all.
Yeah, they were trying to negotiate with this guy, and he's like, "No, this is ridiculous. You're not, this is my property is worth more than that. Like my business is worth more than that." And they wouldn't give him it, and they still took it. So I don't even know if they're waiting for the amendment to do it.
Well, it's like pretty well assumed that amendment's going to get passed.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's put it into your situation here in the United States. Let's say you own a house. Okay. The state wants to put a highway through, and it's going to go right past your house, right through your house. Well, they have the right to eminent domain you, but the way they do it in this country is they have to find you in the same area, the same house, basically, something equivalent to what you already own, with not less at all. And if they can't, then they have to pay you. Like, I had there was a new road that went through close to us, and one of my boss actually had her house had to be taken for the highway, and I mean it was probably like 3 or 4 times because they couldn't find her the equal house in that school district or whatever in that area, and it was like way more. Like she got way more than it was worth. I mean, but you could say worth, but what is it worth? It's worth. You live there. You having to uproot yourself and your kids out of their school is a big deal. So you're there for a reason. You find you have value in it. These people come to your property and say, you have this value. Yeah, sure, you make a living off this farm, but we want it, and we don't think it's you deserve to have this amount of money for it. We're just and now they're just gonna take it anyway. So
you're right. And to me, eminent domain in this country is bullshit in and of itself, in my opinion. I don't think when Thomas Jefferson originally drafted the Declaration of Independence, it was what he wanted to say was life, liberty, and property. Pursuit of happiness was thrown in there because he took the property part out because he didn't want people to use that as a justification later on for, well, we have a right to our slaves.
Yeah.
That's why property got dropped. But, you do have a right to your property in this country. And the governments, they have no justification to take it. Like eminent domain's a very irritating thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, that's why
the whole argument of it's for a public good.
Yeah.
But it's not about the public. It's not about the collective. It's about the individual. You have individual rights. Too bad, so sad if you can't build your road.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I think that has changed a lot because, like, say 60s. Okay, there was a park in our town that was built in like the 60s, or I think they started planning it in like the 60s. They built in the 70s, and it has a big lake, and there were several farmers who own property where that lake is, and the people got eminent domained, and at the time, obviously, property wasn't worth what it's worth now, and the people got it, but they didn't get as good of a deal. Like if that happened today, because the government or the state, anytime they're in those situations, first off, it's like a 2-year process. If they go to eminent domain, when they actually have to say, you're out of here, like when they force you out. So until that happens, they basically work to get you something else that you're satisfied with. So, I mean, I could see that, is a lot better way of doing things than they did in the past, because in this area, people have oil and gas rights. Well, there's like millions and millions of dollars worth of oil and gas that basically were taken off those people because those farms what happened to those rights? Well, the county got them. Right. That park got those rights. Those people they're not getting the royalty checks. The park is. That was, 40 years before oil and gas was here. But what's the next thing? There may be another thing that comes along that makes that, and you're like, geez, look at all this money I missed out on. And that was my I worked hard. I bought that property. I saved up, owned that property. So you have to take care of people. You have to give them something. And that's why they also have like, you have to have something in that area, because obviously there's a value there. There's a value there may not be as much value in the next town over,
Yeah.
But one thing about eminent domain, I'll say, if the state couldn't come in or the government couldn't come in and take your property for projects, like our infrastructure would be a joke. I mean, it would be like cow paths,
Maybe.
I mean,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Our infrastructure is kind of a joke right now, like getting in and out of Pittsburgh with all these bridges and tunnels that are constantly under construction. At some point, I mean, there's got to be new roads that go in. There are in certain places, but you have to take care of people. And I think it's to the point now where they can't afford to take care of people the right way. So they're just not going to do the projects.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you won't have any more development in your area because they can't afford to do it.
Well,
because of people owning property.
The best is you could go on the internet and see some places like they'll have like a photo gallery of people that fought eminent domain.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see like a house right in the middle of like a highway. Like the highway will cut through and it'll just loop around the one house.
Yeah. It's got to be hard on the property value though. I have seen a house just like, I think it wasn't in this country. I think it may have been in like England or somewhere. Yeah. And there was like this, it was like a 3-story house where it was probably like a building, like a downtown building where like every building's up against each other. And that one guy was the only one who wouldn't sign the paperwork. And they literally just did exactly what you said. They just have like a 4-lane highway and they just loop around him. And his house is just sitting there right in the middle of the highway.
So like that I'm totally fine with. Yeah, if dude don't want to sell, I just don't see how you can force them.
Yeah. I mean, I want the country to evolve their infrastructure, but I think if they weren't so strict with their rules in eminent domain, like the way they carry this out now, I feel like the government could take advantage of that. And that's more power for the government. And I don't like that. I don't like them saying, well, if we want it, we're going to take it. There's a new resource that we found here, someone discovered it. Well, yeah, all these people are going to make all this money. Well, how about this? We go in, we take their property, because we have such loose rules about this eminent domain stuff. And then the government makes all the money. That's where it could go. And it's like other countries that it's happened in, but in South Africa, they're just taking people's property. I mean, and I'm not even sure if they're going to give that guy anything. I think they're just taking the property.
Yeah. And it's not just one guy. I mean, they're planning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It depends on who you're talking, like what news source you hear. Some people think it's like the start of a genocide. Some people think the story is completely bullshit. But I think it's starting to really gain some traction of being real. Yeah. So something to keep an eye on for sure.
Well, it's crazy because in Africa, the continent of Africa, I don't want to say there isn't civilized places. There are, but there is a lot of conflict in Africa. Historically, there always has been. There still is. In South Africa, the country South Africa, at least in my lifetime, wasn't like that. And it's, like you said, Nelson Mandela, he helped evolve because black people in that country were the low bottom of the totem pole there. He gets out and he tries to make things better for everyone as opposed to just having white people, because there are Africans that are white. That's the one thing that there's a misconception, but there are white Africans. But you do this and you start breaking down your civilization, and that's just going to turn into basically another conflict area, just like the rest of Africa.
Right.
So, I mean, that's unfortunate, so I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, it's scary to think of how little power you have as just an individual.
Yeah.
So.
Well, hey, the good news is, and then we'll get off this after this, but our great Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she really likes the South American Constitution or
The
South
South
African,
African,
yes,
yeah.
South African Constitution, so much better than ours.
Experience should be, because I'm operating under a rather old constitution. The United States, in comparison to Egypt, is a very new nation, and yet we have the oldest written constitution still in force in the world. I would not look to the U.S. Constitution if I were drafting a constitution in the year 2012. I might look at the Constitution of South Africa. That was a deliberate attempt to have a fundamental instrument of government that embraced basic human rights, had an independent judiciary. It really is, I think, a great piece of work.
Womp womp womp.
Yeah, that's kind of a backfire comment there. Whenever you have people who are like, literally, it's about to become like a civil war,
Right.
probably, and it's
Yeah,
because of what their constitution allows them to do.
There's great human rights over there.
That just goes to show how important it is for whatever president is in office to elect people who are of sound mind, you know, and don't have they aren't ideologically like gonna just go out there and we're gonna save everybody. You know, we're gonna follow the Constitution. There was a reason this document is the oldest document that is basically governing any country.
It's because our government hasn't been overthrown, because it's been generally successful.
Yeah. Well, and one thing, it's in my opinion, our constitution, our government, not our constitution, our government has gotten too powerful. That wasn't the intent of our constitution originally. The forefathers didn't want our government to be so powerful, and it's become powerful. It's wasteful. There's corruption. You have people who are making tons of money off of it, and that's the problem with government. That's why you got to drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But how can you expect? You're a president. You're a senator. You're a congressman. You have all this power. You get elected in 2000 and what year is it? 18? I don't know what year it is.
Yeah.
You get elected in 2018. You go in. You got all this power. And yeah, maybe whenever you were running, you said, "Yeah, the government doesn't need power." But now I'm in there. I got all this power. I'm wearing my crown with my jewels on and shit.
Right.
Dude, you're not going to get a vote passed to eliminate the power or limit the power of government, because the people who are voting on it are the people who are going to have to give up the power.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen.
Half the people that are voting the people in want the government to be more powerful.
Yeah. Well,
they just want their guy in charge.
Okay. The Republican Party was always more of a small government, you know, party. The Democrats, like, they want a big government. They want you to have your job with the government. They want you to get your housing from a government. They want the way these socialists talk, they want to nationalize everything. Right. So that, to me, I've said it once, I've said it a million times, government cannot run anything correctly. So if you let them nationalize healthcare, that's their attempt. That's an Obama attempt. Look at the disaster that is. So, I don't know. Big government is bad. It's just full of corruption. And that's really what, socialism or communism, if you are not connected politically, you're a poor person. Yeah. If you're connected politically, you're a rich person.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
And that's how every place that has that, is their governing, basically system, that's exactly what happens. There's people in power with all the money, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, well that's corporations." Yeah, but you know what? We all have jobs, and we all have, and we have the freedom to train ourselves to do other things or make more money or own things. Yeah. Whenever the government owns everything, you don't own shit, and you do what you're told.
Yep.
So I don't know. How are you supposed to, all these people would say tyranny and, all these people in government are trying to, hold them down. Well, what do you think is going to happen if you elect a bunch of socialists to run the country? That is what they do. They keep you under their basically under their thumb all the time.
Because once that bill comes in and they don't have enough money, well, they're going to come to the people to take that money.
More money, more property, more assets.
Yeah. More money, more problems. That's what I always say.
Yeah. A lot of problems going on in the world.
Yeah. So a lot going on in the Me Too movement this week.
I saw that. They're Me Too and back at Me Tours.
Yeah.
Like a double entendre.
Asia Argento.
Yeah, I wasn't really even familiar with this woman, if you want to be honest with you.
Me either.
I'm
Not a
not
bad
sure
looking broad.
Yeah. She likes him young though.
She likes him old too. She was Anthony Bourdain's squeeze.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe that had something to do with him doing the whole offing
chokeroo.
Yeah, I mean, it's because these things before they ever come out in public, they're messy behind doors. So basically, his girlfriend, Anthony Bourdain's girlfriend, Asia Argento.
Yeah.
I guess she was part of the Me Too movement with Harvey Weinstein, correct?
Yeah, she was one of the first accusers to come out. And then she also...
Not saying that's not valid. No. I'm not saying that.
But it was great because she's at the Cannes Film Festival, and she goes, "Look around you. There's perverts among us," or something. Like, yeah, right there on stage.
The one saying it, because she had sex, or she was having like an affair basically with a 17-year-old. I think she was like 38
37.
or 37.
Yeah.
And eventually Anthony Bourdain actually paid this kid like hush money, like $380,000 or something.
Right.
Like, so he wouldn't like get his Anthony Bourdain's girlfriend to, like out her, especially given what's going on in this movement. And she's like kind of one of the first people. And
you got to think like Bourdain was working for CNN at the time. So that would come back looking pretty bad on him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, something must be good about, because why would you even put up with that? Why would you just kick her to the road? I mean, Anthony Bourdain was a good guy. I mean, he's a likable guy. I'm sure tons of women were very interested in. Why would he put up with this woman in particular? She must be doing something right.
Right. Well, I mean, like she was good looking.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Should be polishing that knob like a pro, son.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so she tried to deny it, and then the text leaked out of her texting her friend saying, "Yeah, I had sex with him. It was weird." It was weird because like he kept squeezing his teddy bear at the end. It was weird because as soon as he got done, he got up and watched cartoons.
No way. These are the comments?
No, these are.
Oh, fuck, dude. You have me in shock right here. I'm like, what?
Editorial comments, I guess.
Sounds so bad now.
Yeah. It was weird because he asked me for a snack pack after.
Yeah. I mean, the guy was 17, and I'm not saying that's right, but there are laws against that. Like, if you're, and I don't even know whatever the states are, but like, I don't think if you're not within a certain age range, it's legal to have sex with people under 18. So, like, if you're 37, you're too old.
Yeah,
that's the rule. Yeah, you're not allowed to do that, and you're breaking the rule too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
But to that 17-year-old out there, not only did he get to bang a hot Italian actress, but he also got paid $380,000 in the process.
I know.
Congratulations, sir.
Seems like a good deal. I mean, but I'm a guy. See, I think that's a good deal.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Like, if it was a girl, everyone would say, "Oh my God, what a child molester!"
Yeah, what a monster.
Yeah,
and,
I'm not saying they're not, and I'm not saying they're not.
We'd be right.
But for me as a guy, I think that seems like a good deal.
That's like every time like a hot teacher bangs one of their students.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, where were these teachers when I was growing up? But like if it was reversed where it was like a guy, like a guy gym teacher banging a student, we'd be like, oh, what, he's a pedophile.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, that's the way the country is though. We look at, and I mean, but the fact is, the law is the law, and you have to follow the law.
Right.
So, I mean, whether you think it's cool as not cool, but like whether me and you seem like it was more like, wow, this dude's really benefited from this. But in reality, she has broken the law by doing that, or she is, and she's a public figure, so it looks bad too. Not to mention, so I don't know. Are they gonna press any charges? Probably, huh?
I don't know if charges are on the table, but she's been exposed as a fraud.
Yeah, I mean, and it sucks because Harvey Weinstein's a creep. And if you're a main person who's like one of the main people, well, that's what's going to happen. You better be squeaky clean when you go up against Harvey Weinstein. That's what really sucks about our judicial system too, to some degree. Like a rape victim, I'm not saying Harvey Weinstein, public people, rape victims. A lot of rape victims will agree with the prosecutors to let the guy go on something less, even though everyone knows he did it, just so the girl doesn't have to go up there in court and have his defense attorneys dig into her past that has nothing to do with what happened and trash her in front of everybody, basically.
I mean, it sucks. I agree.
And everything's case by case.
There has got to be scrutiny. I mean, when you're putting somebody away, especially on a case like rape, like
I know
that guy is technically innocent until proven guilty. So like you gotta, and it's that defense attorney's job to prove him innocent.
I know, and those situations are tough. That's why those things happen where people will just say, you know what, this isn't worth it.
Right.
I don't even want to look at him again or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure, he'll get out, or get out lighter sentence. But yeah, but just like you said, you got to prove it, and that's your witness, So and the defense has a right to defend that's their job, is to defend the guy who's or whoever, guy or girl, whoever's being accused of whatever crime. But messy. It's a messy situation.
Sure is. Well, dude, we are running way over today.
Really? If you watch anything good on TV, we can go through that real quick.
No. You know what? I watched like the first 45 minutes of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what surprised me most about that? And granted, I'm only 45 minutes in, but Baker Mayfield seems like a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, he does. He seems like a cool guy.
Like he in college.
Yeah, but I think he was just like a really competitive. I mean, I'm West Virginia guy, like a West Virginia University alum. We played him every year, and Baker Mayfield always destroyed us while Baker Mayfield was there. So, I mean, I hated playing against him, but he's a cocky dude because he's a competitive dude. But like, I don't think he's not a bad guy. I don't think he got a lot of grief about being a bad guy. But yeah, I mean, but I watched. What is that called with the Cleveland Browns and John Blank? Yeah, Hard Knocks. I watch Hard Knocks every year. Like, this is the week before fantasy football draft. I'm like, damn, fucking Browns are loaded, or whoever. Meanwhile, they're like one of the worst teams in the league. I'm like, dude, they're gonna win the Super Bowl. Dude, I got to draft like Tyrod, and get all these receivers. But in reality, they're terrible. But I mean, they're still good athletes. They're professional athletes, even though the Browns are terrible. They show the lighter parts, like their defense looks good in this game or this and that.
Yeah.
Every year it happens to me. And they're always crap teams because I don't think you could have I think they made a rule. Like the only people who like have Hard Knocks go, or you're required to have Hard Knocks if the NFL like selects you, is if you don't make the playoffs. So you're not a garbage team, but you're probably a garbage team. And every year I'm like, dude, these guys are fucking awesome, man. Look how good this team is.
I think you have to miss the playoffs 3 years in a row.
Is that what it is? Oh, which means you're real garbage.
Right. You've been garbage for a while. Because I remember when the Steelers became eligible to be selected.
Oh, jeez.
It's embarrassing.
What, man, when was that? I don't remember that.
That was before. That was 3 years ago when we started making the playoffs again.
Jeez, I didn't realize we missed the playoffs that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, we still got Tomlin.
But in reality, a better show would be like the Steelers or Belichick, the Patriots, to see how that works.
Yeah.
But Belichick, that would drive him
Well,
But man,
none of the teams won them. That's why they had to make the rule.
Yeah, but I think for a team like the Browns, it's great for them. They've won one game in the last 2 years, and look at all this press they're getting. People in their city are getting excited about the team.
Yeah.
They're fooled just like me. They're gonna go week 1 Steelers right there in their stadium, First Energy Stadium. The Steelers are gonna run up and down the field on them, and then everyone's gonna be like, "Fuck! I bought these season tickets. I'm stuck with them now." But it's a great PR move. Like in the Rams going to LA, I think was last year or maybe the year before. So that was another good, interesting story. You know, you got a team leaving a city going to Los Angeles, and they're actually pretty good. You know, now I mean they're probably going to be a contender this year. So they're only a couple years removed from that. So I did watch that. I've caught up on that completely. I did watch the movie Fargo.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, which was the first time I ever watched that.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It's funny about that. I won't go on too long about this because I know we're way over. But okay, so you know, I said when we did the top 10 ways to get rid of a body. And I said throw him in a wood chipper, like at a lake or something. Dude, they do that in that movie.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, holy cow, dude. Oh, jeez.
That's funny. Is the movie good? Is it as good as everyone says it is?
It's good, but it's like Napoleon Dynamite to me.
Oh, cool.
It's like that.
I really like it.
Yeah, it's like people are weirdos like that. Yeah. Like they make people in the Midwest, like that's North Dakota, I think. They make them look so dumb and dull and like. I mean, it's hard for me to believe people are like that, but they really exaggerate it.
I don't know because they said like I may or may not have watched the commentary for Napoleon Dynamite, and and they said that the extras in that movie were actually people in the town in Idaho that they filmed in.
Oh wow! I mean, did they just pull like the biggest, special people out of the town, or did they actually just go like the general population? Because you could go to any town and get like enough people to act like that.
That's true. But
if you like Napoleon Dynamite, it's not. It's got like funny parts. It's a story that you're interested in, though. Like the storyline. So it's a good story, but it's not really like as like goofy and funny. The people just are. The people are similar in that like they could do the same acting role in Idaho, I guess, as they do in North Dakota. So
well, I like the Coen brothers, so I should give it a chance anyway because that's one of their
you should.
They're bigger movies.
I watched I had just saw it was on. I had never watched it. And I was like, I'll watch it. I think there's a TV show about it. Like a TV show called Fargo. I've never watched that either. So
yeah, I think
I'll tell you what's a good show. Ozark.
Is it good?
It's a good show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think season 2 is coming out. I mean, I just haven't been watching any TV though.
Right.
And I swear, as soon as I start watching it, 13 Ways to Kill Yourself is right on top of my list, or whatever that show is called.
13 Ways to Get Raped is season 2. Who knows what season 3 will be?
Don't tell me. No spoilers.
Oh, please don't. I want to save all the juicy details for later.
Yeah, they'll be in season 12 before I get to season 2, I think. But so that's about it.
All right, cool. Well, hey, download the podcast or subscribe. iTunes, Stitcher, not SoundCloud, Spotify. It's Kelly Digital, KellyDigitalPodcast.com. Adam, let's get out of here.
Yeah, later.
Bye. Stop.